One.
Hi, I'm Catherine Johns. This is the Biz Buzz Show on the Linked Local Network. And Sandra Teague is with me today. Sandra's business is Advantage Employment. And I want to know, just for openers, why would a small business person, and I mean smallish, right, need an HR consultant? I mean, I think of HR as being for big companies with lots of people.
Right, a very common thought. And, I guess I assert that a small business needs an accountant, a small business needs an attorney, and a small business needs someone to help them with their employment-related issues.
So what would be a common employment-related issue? Like, so I think hiring, firing, right
Absolutely.
off the top of my head.
Two very good examples. Payroll is another.
Okay.
Small businesses, the very first thing that happens when they hire their very first employee is they have to do a payroll.
Yeah, you have to pay them,
yeah,
don't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah, about
They don't
that.
stick around otherwise, so.
So talk to me about hiring. What advice do you have for your clients?
Well, don't let someone else make the decision for you.
Okay.
You know, I think one of the most important things is that a small business person makes that final selection themselves. You know, there's a lot of opportunities there to go to agencies for help and to outsiders for help, but when you do that, if they're making the selection, then you might kind of run afoul. I think the best idea is to get some help to get candidates in,
Okay.
but then make sure that that they're making that final decision and asking tough questions about from those candidates about.
You know, I see ads in Craigslist for employees. Would you ever recommend advertising in a place like Craigslist?
Absolutely. It can
Really?
be a good resource. I think there's a lot of good recruiting resources out there, or places on the internet to post. It's not the right location for every position, but it can be a good source of very good candidates.
So let's suppose we hired somebody and then we think, oh, that was a mistake,
Yes.
which has been known to happen.
Yes.
So what tips do you have for getting ready to get rid of somebody?
Well, I think the first and most important thing is to make sure that it should never come as a surprise to that employee if you're terminating them. You should have gone through some performance management steps, should have gone through some warnings, gone through some discussions, whether they start informal and then escalate to formal. Those discussions have to be had. So when you sit down for that final meeting with that employee, they shouldn't be surprised that they're having that meeting.
And often people get nervous about firing somebody, that they're afraid they'll be sued, or they'll be reported to the government, or they'll be in some other way penalized.
Right.
So it's possible to fire somebody and do it right and not have it come back to bite you in the butt,
Absolutely.
right?
It's employment at will, and they have every right to leave you at any time, and you have every right to terminate them at any time, as long as it's not for discriminatory reasons or illegal reasons. But
Did you see the story about this guy in Iowa who fired the woman because she was too attractive?
yes.
Did that strike you as kind of bizarre?
Well, it was interesting, and it was interesting to hear the all the give and take on that.
And it was upheld.
Right.
She said, her voice raising an octave, right? It was actually upheld in court that he had the right to fire her because she was too attractive.
It's not a protected class, so sure.
Wow.
I guess legally I agree with that.
So let me close with, in between hiring and firing, you've got, issues come up with
Sure.
people.
Sure.
So how do you help people handle?
Well, I think
That kind of
a good for small business, a good employee handbook is a good start, because that's a roadmap.
You really have to have one, don't you?
Absolutely. It's a roadmap of what the rules are. It's a way to get all that information out there to the employees and say, this is how I'm going to run things.
And do you help people do an employee
I do.
manual that actually is legal?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Certainly
Because
it
I
has to
think-
be right.
Well, I think if I sat down to write one on I know this because I tried to write one on my own
Right.
once,
Yes, yeah. I mean,
There are rules about it.
Absolutely, absolutely. But there's also there's still a lot of variation in what employers can put into those handbooks in terms of the way they're going to run their particular business.
It seems like one reason to hire someone like you to help is because all of that stuff is time consuming. And if I'm in business for myself,
Right.
writing employee manuals and having meetings with employees and doing taxes, that's not what I really want to be doing.
Right. You shouldn't be. It's costly for you to do that when you should be focusing on your business. So.
Is it costly to hire you?
Surprisingly not. It's really cost effective. I mean, when you start weighing all these things and taking all these things into account, it's amazing how I think how inexpensive it is. So.
Fabulous. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Sandra Teague is my guest. And I forgot to ask, how would somebody find you if they wanted to look for you?
Well,
This is an important question.
They can certainly go to my website, which is www.advemployment.com.
And that would be because her business is called AdvantageEmployment.com. I'm Catherine Johns. This is the BizBuzz Show on the Linked Local Network, where we say link locally, connect globally.